Hey everyone, welcome. It's Mr. Hancock here. This video is the introduction to the Comp 2 Unit 2 section for the poetry essay with research. So I want to walk you through it just a second and show you the assignment and discuss the assignment and explain what's expected of you here. So here we go. So here we are, standard start here page, go to course content. Now that you see the Unit 2, obviously you saw this because you got into this video. But you see Unit 2, now we're ready to go. Let's go ahead and click into it. Alrighty, the only thing open right now, as you can see, is week 5. So we click into that, and you'll notice after the first unit and all those weeks, all of this works exactly the same thing. As a matter of fact, the essay is very similar. Very similar. So here are your objectives. Really look at those because honestly, that's how I grade. That's what I'm looking for. Everything deals with this right here, okay? So go to week 5 checklist. Again, if you haven't caught on yet by week 5, you must follow the checklist, okay? And if there's something on the checklist that is not reflected inside the rest of the module, the weekly module, let me know, and vice versa. So here it is. Read the objectives, read the assignments, read the lecture notes, and everything from there, okay? So here we go. So reading assignment. All right, so notice, and I'm going to explain this in the lecture notes in just a second here. What you're going to be doing is writing over poetry now. So you only have to pick from 4 poems. Here are the poems. Please do not go out and grab random poems off the internet, either by these authors or from different authors. You have to use one of these 4 poems, okay? You should not have a problem with research or reading and understanding these poems, okay? And if you do, I'll help you. We're obviously I'm going to have videos. We're going to have all kinds of stuff about it. So anyway, here we go. There are the 4. 2 of which are web links you'll see shortly. Those web links do work. If they stop working, if they go dead, let me know. And the other 2 are in the textbook. Those page numbers ought to be what they are. If they are not, look in the table of contents. All right, here we go, lecture notes. So the first thing you see here is the assignment itself. So I'm going to go ahead and click into that. Poetry essay reading assignment. All righty, here we go. So first off, notice everything's going to work exactly the same as the last time. You have a date for the rough draft and the date for the revised draft. I'm going to be a lot quicker with the rough draft on this one, so that should come back to you a lot sooner, so I shouldn't have to move the revised draft. But you'll notice it's Sunday the 8th, and then the following Sunday the 15th. All by 11:59 p.m. in Blackboard. Everything works the same. Now, what's changed? There are going to be 3 sources, not just one like the last paper, but there are going to be 3 sources on this paper. And you'll notice here, one of those will be the primary source, meaning the actual poem. That's the one you're going to be analyzing. And the other 2 are going to be secondary sources. And what that means is you are going to do research, and you're going to look around, and you're going to find other sources that are going to support your argument in your paper, support what you're trying to say about the theme. They are also involved when dealing directly with the poem or maybe indirectly, things like that. But they will, number one, the goal of the secondary source is to back you up, okay? You're not writing to help the secondary source out. You're using that as like your backup, your friends behind you, telling the reader, hey, they think the same thing, or they think something similar. So that's what that's going to do. So you're going to have 2 research sources in here. So at your works cited page should have 3 sources. The poem, and then 2 separate sources to back it up. All right. 750 words minimum, okay? That does not include a works cited page. Heck, your works cited page is like 100 words or something like that anyway, probably, maybe 200. Shouldn't be 200, but still. Count your essay, not the works cited page there, okay? And don't forget, 750 is minimum. If you're just hitting 750 with 2 secondary sources, you need to go back and evaluate what you're doing as far as what's happening in your body. Everybody should go beyond 750. That is a minimum. Okay, now what is this essay about? Honestly, it's just like your Unit 1 short story essay. You're doing exactly the same thing, only 2 differences. Number 1, you're doing it over poetry now instead of a short story. So you get to pick which poem you want to write about. Heck, I'll even let you compare 2 of the poems if you want to go there. Obviously, your paper will get much bigger than 750, and you have to show how both of the poems share the same theme, but you can do that. But I'll show you which ones in just a second you would be able to do that with if you want. But mainly, you just have to pick one poem and argue a theme. This is what the message is, all right? Go back to that theme handout and look at that question. What is this poem teaching us about blank, whatever that topic is, okay? So that's all you really want to do there. Do it just like you did in the last paper. That's the number one difference, is it's poetry, not a short story. Number two is it is research, okay? So now that we've gotten it out of our way in the last unit, how to write this type of paper, how to write a literary analysis, you're going to be doing that same thing. So that should be kind of a exercise in that area, not completely brand new learning. But what we're really going to focus on here is doing good research, finding sources, incorporating those sources correctly into our paper, and citing them, which you've done citations, so it shouldn't be hard, but we'll still check for those things, okay? Those are the two main differences. Otherwise, it's the same kind of paper, okay, y'all? So, with that being said, you can see down here, let's talk about these 4 poems. I said if you wanted to kind of compare to, I kind of have it made to where you can do that. Birches, Robert Frost Birches, and Wordsworth's The World Is Too Much With Us share some very similar ideas. They may not be precisely in line, but they're very similar, and I think you could argue many things about both of them together. Same for Mother to Son and We Real Cool. Very similar. As a matter of fact, they kind of look at life situations from 2 different viewpoints. One being more of like a conservative and, smart about how to live life, and the other one being more wild and reckless, okay? So take a look at that and see how they may mesh, or how they may share, even from different points of view, share the same message. But like I said, you don't have to compare 2 poems. You can just pick one. Trust me, all 4 of these, you can find plenty of research and write a whole paper on them. For instance, though, like We Real Cool, it's a pretty small poem, so you may look at that and go, my Lord, how am I going to write over 750 words over that small of a poem? Well, the poem itself, think about your C method. The poem itself is not what is writing the paper. What's writing the paper is you explaining how that poem proves your thesis. So you get your thesis, your theme, and then you use the C method. Y'all, when you go into the example in the C method, it does not have to be big hunks of quotes. It could be a line from the poem. It could be a phrase. Heck, I've seen plenty of times people build an entire paragraph in the C method around 1 word in a poem. That's fair game. Because remember, what matters is you explaining what that word, what that phrase, what that line has to do with the thesis. What that phrase, that word, that line, how it proves your thesis, okay? So the bulk of those paragraphs is not from the poem. It's from you discussing it. And not to mention you're bringing in what others think as well, okay? I'm also going to supply a sample essay with this with research in it, so that can help you as well. You can see how sources are used and incorporated. But that's it. Now, here's the deal. Look at the asterisk at the very bottom. I'm not providing topics for this paper. So what you notice on the last essay, say for like the Cask of Amontillado, but revenge and power of pride. I gave you possible topics. I'm not doing that this time. The reason is that a part of your research here is to go and dig around and see what people are saying. You're going to do some background research, some preliminary research. And now research, I have some videos on this talking about everything in this. So you can watch those about specific research stuff. But on this part, you can just get on the internet. You're not looking for awesome, wonderful sources yet. Just go and dig around and say, what the heck are people saying about Frost's poem Birches? What is the main ideas? What are the main topics here? Just look around and see what the topics are. After you do that, then you can look for those topics in the poem as you read the poem, okay? And so there's no cheating about that. There's nothing wrong with looking around to see what everybody's saying. So if, like, I know that I'm going to go into a store looking for sales on, say, Black Friday or something, I'm not just going to wander around and see what's going on. I want to check first so I can have a direction as to where to go. I'll check the sell paper. I'll ask people. I'll see what's going on. That's what we call the discourse, larger conversation. See what people are talking about first about the poems before you start digging in. Once you get an idea, then you can start digging into those poems and looking for those, and then you can start plugging in possible topics that you find into that theme question, okay? So with that being said, don't forget that it's absolutely okay to go back to Unit 1 and grab those handouts because it's the same essay. Go back and get that C method handout. Go back and get that theme handout. Go back and look at those and fill those blanks in, all right? I'll also have a different type of outline template. I don't require you to turn an outline in unless, say, it's like in your journal or in your discussion board. But mainly I want you to do those and use those if you can to really help yourself organize your ideas and your thoughts on before you start typing. Because the last thing you want to do is open up, like you can see here. Imagine it's just being a completely blank Word document and start typing and say, what's next? I don't know what to do next. And then you're staring at the screen for hours and you have a terrible headache and you're going crazy and you're cussing me and all that stuff. If you have an outline ready to go, it's like your to-do list for the day. It tells you what to do, in what paragraph, where sources go, which quotes go where. So when you do have to type this thing, it's so much easier, I promise, okay? So no topics, you got to find your own, all right? And we'll use the discussion board, we'll use the journal to develop our ideas in those areas and to share those ideas as well, okay? So there's the assignment itself. Let me go over back over here to Blackboard. Reading poetry. I'm not going to go crazy about this handout, but I do want to mention something. This handout is good because it gives you some ideas as to what to expect. Not everybody is going to have the same interpretation of a poem, so that's fine. So if you read a poem and get something different from it than someone else, that's okay. It doesn't mean you're wrong, all right? It's kind of like we all go outside and look at a big oak tree. We're all standing around it. We're looking at the same tree, but have different ideas about it because we see it from different points of view. So that's fine. So these are like some technical stuff here that you can read up on. How to quote, that's going to be something important. You can see these examples down here. When you go into quoting, when you go into citing poems in text citations, it tells you how to do it here. How to separate lines with slashes, as you can see here. So read this and check it, all right? Otherwise, whoop, I didn't mean to click that one. There we go. Otherwise, from there on, you'll notice in week 5 you got a discussion and a journal, as usual. But right here you have your Frost Birches. That's where you can launch it. It blocked a pop-up on my computer. I have to launch it individually there. And then Mother to Son. Those are the two that are on a web link from the Poetry Foundation. The other two are found in the textbook. But frankly, if you have to look them up, you can look them up online too. Just remember that where you get the poems from will determine how you cite in your works cited page. They should be the same in your in-text citations, but different on the works cited page, okay? So take a look at those. You should be reading all 4 of those poems in week 5. Don't wait. Read them. Start studying them. I'm not asking you to read multiple larger pieces of short stories or books. I'm asking you to read poems. So read them, okay? And study them and read them again. That's one thing about poems that takes more brain power in the sense that you've got to read it multiple times to start to get the idea and to analyze what it's saying. You really got to break down words. Words in poetry, since it's so small and condensed, every word matters, okay? So focus on that and try to figure that out. Be the detective, okay? Find that lesson. Find that message, all right? So anyway, there's that. That is the poetry essay. As always, if you need anything, shoot me an email, and we'll help you out, okay? Thank you, everybody.